Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by TagMeADate. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Welcome, everybody, to a late-night edition of the War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeADate.com. I want to welcome Al, Eric, and the return of Big Heck to the show. We got Vince coming on with some technical issues, but I'm sure he'll be on shortly. And you never know who else might drop in. There's rumors that the chairman of the board may make a return as well. We'll see how that goes. But welcome, everybody, to another edition. We have a lot to cover. What's going on, fellas? How we all doing?
How we doing? I'm doing all right over here, man. Excited about a night show for the first time.
A night show with a lot of shit to talk about, that's for sure. Tara, welcome to the show. Why so late tonight? I had to do something with my daughter this evening, so we decided we were going to push it back because I did not want to miss this show. And we're actually toying around with the idea of a new start time, but we'll see. We're going to wait things out. But welcome anyway to the show. You're still going to get us every Tuesday, whether it's this time, whether it's at 6 o'clock. We're going to figure it out. We're going to let everyone know. But 1,000+ days as undisputed world heavyweight champion, Roman Reigns and SmackDown. Big Heck, can you hear us?
I hear you loud and clear. I just can't speak in my fucking headphones. But I can hear you guys. Good.
You sound good. Real quick, before we get into everything, Al, this is Big Heck. Barrio Rikers, this is Al. Big Heck, I've known for, God, what feels like forever. And he is also a pro wrestler as well. And I got Big Heck back into wrestling. So that's how way back it goes. Yeah, I have a thing with converting people over to the dark side, you know?
I actually tell the story often about how you got me back in, and it was when The Rock was coming back in 2011.
Yeah.
And all you did was get in my ear buzz about what's going to happen. So I was like, all right, well.
I think it kind of went down where I was kind of like, listen, we work together now. I'm the manager. You're the assistant manager. You're going to do me a favor and just watch one episode coming up. And then you let me know what you want to do. And you were hook, line, and sinker from then on.
I was hook, line, and sinker. You got me, brother.
That's it. All it takes is a little Brahma Bull action. Tara, okay. Anyway, I'm so glad you guys are here. I've had a very frustrating day. Need to relax. Well, I'm sorry you had a frustrating day, but I am glad to hear that we will bring you some sort of relaxation with some wrestling talk. Guys, Roman Reigns has been undisputed champion. I use that term kind of loosely at this point, I guess, but has been over 1,000 days. What a hell of an accomplishment. The best story in pro wrestling, period. I mean, I can't remember the last time there was such a great storyline that was able to go the lengths that this has gone, and it ain't over yet. There is still a lot more story to be told, especially after what happened this week during the celebration when Roman was promised that there would be no Usos to ruin the party, and sure as shit, the Usos came out, and we got swerve after swerve. I definitely want to break down that segment. Vince, are you good?
Yes, sir. I'm finally
Here we
good.
Fucking go. Look
Yeah,
at this
man.
panel. It makes me happy. Vince, I was just kind of setting it all up.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Roman, 1,000+
Perfect.
days as undisputed champion. I want to go right to SmackDown, and I want to go right to the main event segment where we got the celebration, and what was promised was that the Usos would not be there to ruin it, and sure as shit, the Usos came out to ruin it, and the story has developed from there. What are the thoughts on this segment of SmackDown? Big Heck, let's start with you.
It's one of those things, man. The story keeps getting better and better for me. I haven't felt the story got stale, not one bit. They seem to keep throwing in, wrinkle after wrinkle, and it just gets better. I thought after Mania, without Sammy, which was pretty much, the bulk of the 9-month story, that it was going to get stale. I mean, they just flipped it right back on its head and kind of started right back, brought it back to where they started from, right, with Jimmy and Jay. I love it, now to see Solo, kind of make his choice and, cross that line in the sand and make his choice of where he's going to be. I thought it was awesome, man. I think the sky is the limit for the storyline because you could go in so many different directions.
Yep.
You could go Jimmy versus Solo, which is probably what they'll do first. They'll probably do a brother versus brother, match because there's no way that Jimmy or Jay is going to get to Roman, right off the bat. So they're going to have to go through Solo. Again, what type of match do you see coming down the road? The opportunities and the things that they can do are endless. So
yes,
I thought it was awesome.
Agree. I agree with that. And I think the big question now is it going to be Jay? Is it going to be Jimmy? Or is it going to be Solo in the end to take down the reign? Because I feel like at this point, it's going to be one of those three. Side note real quick, David Rosca, our boy from YouTube,
Excellent.
Trish Stratus, he's all about the Olympics, and Nadia Comaneci and Trish Stratus started being the next one on the November 18th of 2001, and she finished September 17th of 2006. We have another Facebook user. We'll get a tag match with Usos versus Roman and Solo, probably at Money in the Bank. You know what? I could see that for sure. I definitely don't think we're going to get Roman defending that title before SummerSlam.
No.
Which, if you think about it, is so fucked because it's over 100 days away. But now you got Rollins, who sounds like he's going to be defending his belt every week. So,
how many times though? I don't really see him doing another tag match. That's just me. I don't see Roman stepping in as a tag match. How many times have you ever seen a Universal Champion or Heavyweight Champion, whatever you want to call it, do back-to-back tag matches? So soon together, right? Like I said, I really think it's going to be something like Solo versus Jimmy, Solo versus Jay, and then it's kind of like working towards, King Koopa, right? Like in Mario. So I think that's what we're going to see. But like I said, options are endless, and they could swerve you at any time. Eric, by the way, your beard is looking luscious.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Al, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I mean, the biggest thing is you said, right? We're at 1,000 days, and for me, I can't tell if it's 2 weeks or 1,000 days of a reign because
isn't that amazing?
It's just like it doesn't matter. Like this guy is amazing. The fact that they could build his own real family into this, and like it invests us even more into this story. As far as who should and could take it, I definitely believe it comes within the family, and for some reason, I see Solo, because Solo is when Solo shifts to the other side is when the bloodline breaks. Solo, I believe, is the make or break of the bloodline at this point. When he leaves, that's the beginning of the end.
And there have been hints that Roman might be a little bit scared of Solo.
Well,
So
isn't everybody?
Well, right, but this is the Godfather. He's not scared of anybody. He doesn't show emotion, and yet he showed emotion this week on SmackDown. But the whole swerve, the way the storytelling is being told, and what's beautiful about it too is that there's a lot less of this, and there's a lot less talking, and it's just more facial expressions and movements and waiting for reactions and slowing the pace down. It's just everything's so methodical and well thought out, and the delivery has been great with everybody, Jay being the best of them all. But even Solo, just the way he looks at you and he stares through you, and he never takes his arms down like this, and he says very few words, if any at all. I mean, I think the most he's ever said was this week on SmackDown, and that was a sentence. Well, right.
Yeah. I don't remember who just said it. I think it was Big Heck, but it has been a while. We haven't seen undisputed or world heavyweight champion in multiple tag team matches. But isn't that what the story is asking for right now? That's how you keep the belt away from being defended at this point till you find a valid contender. Because now you having a family war, and there's no need for that belt to be defended. So no other way than to have, Solo and Reigns go against the Usos. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to see any other match right now besides that, as far as what they're telling us story-wise for what it's leading to.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think, the the tag match was cool. I agree. I think it was great, but I think it kind of diminishes what Roman's 1,000-day reign is. Because don't forget, he lost on his 1,000-day reign, right? On his 1,000th day, he technically took a loss, right? He was a tag match. Solo got pinned, and now you lose on your 1,000th day. Now again, you come back, you do a tag match with him. Of course, you can have him. It could be a squash match, right? But then the story gets ruined. Or if it's a great match, then you could turn it into one of those guys having a big spot, and now you could turn it into a one-on-one. Like I said, there's many ways you could go about it. I personally just think it diminishes him as a champion, as a fighting champion, when you can just tag in somebody and say, all right, now you go. That's me. I see the championship as a little differently, especially as a singles person, right? A singles guy, as Roman is. But yeah, either way, man, it's so fucking confusing, and everything is so fluid that whatever way they go is money, right? And I agree with you on that. 2 weeks or 1,000 days, man, it feels fresh every time he steps out.
You know what's still amazing to me is the fact that we're sitting here talking about one of the longest reigning storylines, and it involving Roman Reigns. And not only are we loving every minute of it, we don't want it to end. There was a point on this podcast that we never thought Roman was going to ever get over.
Everybody,
and he's one of the biggest things in wrestling. This gimmick, the whole thing has just been so fucking captivating that you can't get enough of it. All these years later, the fact that he's 1,000 days champion. This is a company where the perception is you always got to keep it moving because nobody's got patience. Nobody can.
Right.
The attention span isn't there. And look at how they've captivated millions of people to be able to go long story term and not be bored with it.
Well,
I mean, it's just amazing.
Keep in mind, Steve, something that they allowed Roman to do is be him.
Be himself. Right.
They didn't let him be this cheesy Disney World WWE character, like they allowed
that's
him
true.
to be him.
But I will
he
tell
had
you,
enough
this
hate
is
in him to be that guy.
Yeah, no, that's true. But here's what scares me. I'm hearing a ton of rumblings that Roman is in line for a babyface run.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you make that turn.
It's too early.
Because he's still he's a heel, but the crowd loves him anyway.
It's for after,
leave it alone.
After he loses the title, he has to, he'll go on his little redemption arc and then, maybe win the title back later or whatever it is. I think that's not a bad way to go. What if you have one of the Usos pin Roman and you get
your number one contender for SummerSlam. I mean,
Someone should shoot that Facebook user.
But then they'd have to pit like the one thing that I hate. And this is I don't have any particular opinion towards that Facebook user. My opinion is towards those type of matches where it's championship qualifier. You have to pin the champion to then earn another match. No, you've already.
They've both already qualified as far as I'm concerned.
And the other thing is the long-term storytelling thing. Yes, we've been talking about this a lot. We've been talking about the Roman Reigns thing since the podcast started because the Shield came out right around then, and there was the discussion about whether Rollins or Reigns or Ambrose was going to be the top guy, and they all kind of split it and whatever. Then Ambrose went away and became Moxley, and then Rollins established himself. We were still waiting for that Roman Reigns moment, even though he was coronated at WrestleManias and Saudi things and this and that, and Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker and lost to him and all. He never hit that stride until he started this tribal chief thing. And it's almost a problem that WWE created themselves because they go, oh, well, fans just don't like long-term storytelling. They don't have the attention span for it. And my argument to that is, well, what were you guys doing from the 1970s up until you bought WCW? It was long-term storylines. And then even after that, this was a problem WWE created by chopping their stuff up and making the 12 or 13 pay-per-view thing a year ends up burning through stories faster because they're just churning out main events. So it's a problem they create. Now they've solved it, but in their own way is we've seen the schedule. If you go on social media, they go, oh, look at this is Roman Reigns' schedule, for the rest of the summer. And he's only on 10 shows. And not that 10 shows isn't a lot for somebody who's traveling all the time, but it's like 10 shows. He's probably going to cut a bunch of promos. He might wrestle one match. Does he wrestle the singles match or does he wrestle the tag match? And that gets back to what Heck is saying. I just want this to... It's as Steve and like Steve said, to kind of agree with everybody. Steve, we were like, and we're still, we were questioning this when Kevin Owens was getting pinned in empty arena matches. Where this was going, who's going to beat him, this, that, and we're still talking about where's this going, who's going to beat him. Yeah, man, it's fucking.
And they haven't disappointed us, which is mind-blowing.
They haven't, which is like the only real disappointment for me was Sami. Like, if you were going to pull the trigger at that point, it was during March and April, it was Sami Zayn, 100%. Now, obviously, they've moved away from that. Sami and Kevin are fighting with Imperium now or whatever it is. Cody's gone off to fight with Judgment Day. This Uso thing, we're on the cusp. We joked about it a lot. Main event Jay, main event Jimmy. I think there's a point where the tag matches with Solo and Reigns against the Usos will be fine. You can do those on house shows. You might be able to do one of those to blow off like a Money in the Bank or some, whatever. But it's going to come down to Solo against one or both of his brothers, Jimmy or Jay, and it's going to come down to Jimmy or Jay fighting Roman, and Solo's the linchpin. He absolutely is. Solo is the guy where right now it's 2-on-2. If he flips, it's 3-on-1. And Paul Heyman doesn't count really. So maybe it's 3-on-1.5. And where does Roman Reigns go from there? Where does Paul Heyman go from there? Does Paul Heyman stick with a guy who doesn't have the bloodline? You know what I mean? Like, if the bloodline falls apart, where does Heyman go? Where does his loyalty lie?
How great
Paul Heyman is the X factor.
Well, yeah, he's always the X factor.
Yeah.
But how great was this swerve that we got with Solo? I mean, it really pulled out every emotion possible. No,
I gotta add something here. This past SmackDown, because this is what we're talking about, right? It told me one thing, right? And I kind of knew this all along, but now I really officially know this. The bloodline is the Rowdy Roddy Piper of storylines, in that just when we think we have the answers, they change the questions.
I'll give you that. It's true.
Well,
anyone hear that?
I don't know what that is.
It sounds like Darth Vader.
There's a this storyline. Oh, what was I going to say? I had something queued up, and then Darth Vader's voice came up. I'll think of it. I think it's really something that taps into, not just the typical wrestling, I'm going to stand here and say something in a microphone, and this person who wants to punch me is going to stand there and listen to me, and then I'm going to give him the microphone. He's going to do the same thing. That's not these segments. AEW had some segments with like Jay White and Juice Robinson with Tony Schiavone that were kind of similar, that didn't feel like a scripted, I'm going to stand there in the ring, cut a promo with my microphone kind of deal. And that's what I like about this Roman Reigns Bloodline segment, was that it was dynamic. People were moving around the ring, different thing. And then you end with, like basically a Greek tragedy where one brother turns on his other brother for the promise of power from their cousin, or, it's very Shakespearean. And everybody played their roles well. One brother kind of, in a, it almost looks like a statue or something where he's holding his brother, his fallen brother. One guy's walking away very confidently with his belts. Solo's got his little side eye thing going on. Paul Heyman's all shocked. He's got his look on his face. Like, everybody did what they needed to do in that segment to convey the emotions that were going on. And the fact that it taps into family, like real life family. This isn't like on a show, like a TV show, where you write in, oh, this character happens to be related to this character played by two different actors. These guys are family. And it taps into a very primal, visceral thing for people, I think, because we've all had family that have treated us badly or done things wrong, or like, but then we accept them, we accept their apology, we let them back into our lives, and then maybe they betray us again. It's something that everybody's kind of had in their life. So I think that's why it speaks to so many people.
Yeah, this is Maury Povich, you got paternity test type family.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is real. This is real life. And I think that's what is captivating, like you said. I mean, everybody, the most real things in wrestling is what captivates people. It's not,
right.
The softball promos. It's not all that. It's when shit gets real. I mean, look at every promo in history that ever, still stands the test of time, right? You look at Dusty, right? Look at Hard Times promo. I mean, those are the things that people connected with. And this is the kind of stuff that you connect with also. Look at how many times you as a kid, anybody on this podcast as a kid, anybody listening right now as a kid, your cousins, your brother, your sister came over, you guys hopped on the floor when wrestling was on and started doing every move you saw. So this is just them doing that from the age that you were until the age that they are now, So that's why it connects. And I think the realism behind it is what is captivating, on so many levels.
I'm curious to see when we start seeing more members show up.
We've been saying that,
but that bloodline is so deep, and there's so many more that you can bring onto the scene or throw a woman in there. I keep hearing Rikishi's going to come back. I was hoping it was going to happen on Friday, but that could be a very interesting dynamic, because now you got Daddy in there,
Yeah.
And
what if I agree. I thought Rikishi, the way he was tweeting, was that he was going to come out this week. But I think they have to let the issue get back, because unfortunately, I think Rikishi's going to end up either catching a spear or a spike or something, because he's going to come in as a peacemaker, and he's going to try and have like a bloodline summit in the middle of the ring and all this other shit. And Roman's going to do the same thing he always does. He's like, yeah, I'll agree with you. Up until he winks over at Solo.
It would be great if that became a thing. He takes out Rikishi, then others.
Then Solo is really conflicted,
and then it eventually leads to The Rock.
Yeah, the king of all Samoans.
So we keep saying,
it's gonna happen.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
I don't know if it's gonna happen.
The longer we wait, the least it's gonna happen, because the older he's getting.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget, the last time that guy wrestled, he popped a fucking something in his belly.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about 10 years ago at this point. Is it worth him being on the shelf, not doing movies, for 6-8 months, for him to come back for one show?
Absolutely. Without question. To see The Rock and Roman? Absolutely.
I get it. I mean, of course they
pass the torch to Roman. They
Roman
have
has
a fight.
The torch, though.
They have a fight
He passed
to
it
determine.
John Cena, right?
you have a match to define who truly is the head of the table. And that you don't even need a belt.
No,
then
because
maybe it'll happen
it's
after.
bigger than the belt.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Again, we go back to there's so many twists and turns.
Right. Which makes it
Yeah.
exciting because you just don't know which way they're going to go. So, anybody else have anything they want to add in terms of SmackDown? Because David seems to want to jump right to Raw. So, does anyone else have anything they want to?
Do we want to talk about the look of the belt at all, or is that not really?
Well, no, we should. I think it's beautiful. Quite honestly,
I loved it.
I love it. I think it's beautiful.
It's fine. It's just lazy to me because they just put a different color. What
yeah, they made it fully gold. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I think they're going to separately do like a championship belt for him because I saw I think it was from WWE. You know how they do
like a Roman exclusive belt,
right? And so his logo is where the W is.
Oh,
and then it's got the Superman shit on the side plates. And it's beautiful.
The only thing that beyond the look of the belt, which is a minor concern, and at this point, because the storyline itself is what's important. But as far as the belt goes, now we're to assume that this is what represents both the WWE and the Universal titles that Roman has held.
Well, it says undisputed on the belt.
Now, here's the thing. So this is going to include both lineages then, right? And remain, because I do not want it to kill the original lineage.
Well, no, I think the gold belt that Seth has is continuing the world heavyweight lineage.
Right.
And the Universal
they list that as a brand new belt though. A brand
no, what's his name? Commentary. What's the guy with all the tattoos? What's his name?
Corey Graves.
Yeah, the guy who's banging Carmella.
Yeah.
He did mention specifically to that, Eric, that belt that Seth is holding does continue the lineage of the previous belt. So everything all the way back from the Winged Eagle on, this is continuing that. So what I gather from that is that this new gold belt for Roman is going to continue his new line, new lineage for the undisputed belt. My question is does he bring out all three belts, or does Paul Heyman give up those two and now he only has the one? I thought it'd be pretty fucking cool for him to have three.
I was going to say, but I think it would look great if he came out with all three.
Yeah, if he just has Paul Heyman carrying two and him with the gold, I mean, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be a pain in the ass to travel with all those belts.
They put those things in boxes.
He's not flying public. He doesn't have to work for security.
Yeah.
He's not a peasant.
No, he's on the private jet to every show. That's for sure.
And and I want to say to people, if you don't think Roman is a draw at this point, then you're nuts.
I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't think he's not a draw.
Yeah.
To that point, Eric and Steve, of course, SmackDown drew 2.5 million viewers on Friday. I'm just looking at the numbers now. 2.5 in a rating. I mean, that's
top.
That's big numbers for a Friday night, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I mean, your high is 2.5 at any given time. We don't know if that's at 8 o'clock or 10. I'm going to go ahead and say that's at 10.
Right, or that's really at 10:30.
Yeah, I mean 8 or 9:50. From when that segment started. So to say he's a draw, that's an understatement, because
and then the most amazing thing is that the people that were going to tune in to this SmackDown anyway was because of the 1,000 Days as Champion, the new belt, and all that stuff, right?
Of course.
And then you add to that the storyline shit that happened and all the swerves. Oh my god, like it's amazing.
100%.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the kind of kicker for me that I think is kind of silly is that online people are like, "Oh, Cody's just doing all of his side quests until he beats Roman at WrestleMania 40," and I'm like, "Can we just?" I just want to enjoy.
I think they moved on.
I think they moved on from Cody. I also just want to enjoy the next year of wrestling without hearing about Cody Rhodes like fucking Poochie from The Simpsons. He has to be shoehorned into every conversation about every world title. Cody can do his own I don't understand this WWE fan obsession with Cody winning the world title. First of all, the finish the story thing, it's Dusty's story. Dusty's story was that he never won the WWE title. Okay, like I don't know what to tell you. It's not
Well, but his version of the story is that he
Right.
wants to be the only Rhodes to win the title. But I think with all that aside, I think Al and I were talking about this the other day. What makes the most sense at this point is you get Cody the fucking United States champion. He's the American Nightmare. He should be the U.S. champion, and he can bring a lot of prestige to that title, similar to Gunther and the IC title.
Yeah, but after
you can't drop him down that quickly and still have realism.
Yeah, but I think Cody
character.
would make it. I think Cody would make it feel not like a drop down, though.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you the world title at WrestleMania 40.
I'll tell you what is a drop down. Having whatever this fruitcake of a tag team is pretty deadly.
They're
working
fucking
with
horrible.
Austin Theory.
They're fucking.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that's a drop down. If you're gonna say that anybody brings illegitimacy to the U.S. title, it's pretty deadly working with Austin Theory to fucking win a match. I don't know if that's a Pride Month thing, but we should fucking hurry up and end June because I ain't down with that. Those guys are atrocious.
I hate everything about
They're
the
pretty
gimmick.
bad.
It's just I was talking a ton of shit about them last week too. I can't stand them.
Can I tell you?
Okay.
First of all, I'm glad they're together, so then I can just not watch that segment.
Exactly.
Skip 3 of them. The other thing is Austin Theory still U.S. champion?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's pretty sad that I had to ask that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about prestige, but here's the problem. It's not a very prestigious title. Cody holding it would be prestigious, but then what's the point of leaving AEW if you're just going to take on their WWE's version of the TNT title? Like his whole deal was like, I wanted to go back out and forge my own path and win the world title. So does that lead to him facing Roman as the U.S. champ or like on the way there? Or because they've already had success with this pairing, does Cody become the one to defeat Seth down the line for that new world title?
Well, now that's definitely a possibility, but does that take away at all?
I think he has to be Roman.
It has to be Roman.
Yeah.
Right?
Has to be Roman.
Because I don't like, honestly, I'll be real with you, and I think Eric and I are kind of on the same wavelength as this. This new World Heavyweight Championship for Raw does nothing for me because the real world champion is Roman Reigns, who's on SmackDown, and Seth Rollins out there flouncing and skipping and talking about Finn Balor's 24-hour title reign is like, I don't know. I have no interest in whatever this character Seth Rollins.
I thought that
playing.
segment was fucking hilarious.
I just don't care. Like, it's fine. Like, I get it. Like, I know a lot of people like
He's
this stuff.
being like Joker-esque. Like that's kind of his thing.
Did it 12 years ago, and
it was great then.
But what I'm saying is, why do we have to keep going back to everybody's doing the Joker? Like, what are we doing? Like, can we?
Because the Joker was a sociopath.
Yeah, but he's a baby
and that's
face.
a great gimmick. Well, you could be a sociopath and a face. This is pro wrestling. People like fucking nuts. I mean,
well, they do because they're cheering for him. That's
my point. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we are.
My confusion with Seth Rollins' character is I know the exact point of when he went from a heel to a baby face. It's when people started singing his song.
Right.
I mean, it was nothing character-wise that he did.
Right.
He's been the same. He's still the same asshole, the same cocky guy, the same outfits. Nothing changed except the fans grabbed onto his song.
And now he's
the biggest baby face on Raw. He's this, or I guess you could say he's the biggest baby face in the company. Because I mean, other than Roman, who is I would like to call Roman a baby face.
I agree, quite honestly.
I mean,
after Friday though,
you add a wrinkle in, but everybody loves him. I mean, he plays the crowd. Acknowledge me, right? I mean, that's a baby face kind of
The
thing,
pop he
right?
gets when his music hits alone
Is
is
amazing.
amazing.
Is amazing. Yeah. Have any of you guys been to a live show at any point recently?
The last one I went to was Raw 30, the
Okay.
30th anniversary.
I went to him and John Cena when he tag matched with
Oh, nice.
I forget who. But it was with John Cena in Tampa. The pop when Roman came out was deafening.
Yeah.
Like beyond anything that I thought. And I mean much more than even John Cena's pop. And so in my eyes, if I'm in the crowd and I don't know a damn thing about wrestling, I'm thinking that's the biggest superstar, the fan favorite, everything bar none. And that pop has gotten bigger since Mania for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I do want to talk about in terms of the crowd. From what I understand, there were no piped in boos last night with Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, guys, nuclear heat,
Yeah,
huh?
they don't need to.
Unbelievable heat. It is unbelievable. I am
gosh.
such a big fan of him. He has the maturity that we've seen in him since he was teaming with his father. Really the heel turn. I'm very proud of him. He's doing such a great job. He's playing the crowd perfectly too. Like he knows, like, just pick up the mic and don't say anything, and they're automatically going to start booing because they don't want to hear your voice. And then he teases it a little bit. Like, it's just everything about it is great.
The Judgment Day period, I hated them at first. I thought the whole Edge gimmick was horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why Finn came in, but that is a different story. But since then, you've gotten nothing but, I don't want to say perfection, but shit, damn near it. Like, every time those guys go out, every segment, they hit a home run, regardless of who's fighting, who's talking, anything. They work off of each other. Rhea Ripley doesn't even have to say a word in any of these promos. She steps in. She steps in front of people now. That's China-esque, right? Those are things that China used to do. That's a Hall of Famer.
Definitely.
Those are things that remind me of a DX, somebody who's going against the grain, somebody who's doing whatever they want to do. Not necessarily comedy aspect. Maybe that's coming. But you talk about a group that can set the tone, can take over a show, can really put you on the edge of your seat. Those guys are. Not to mention, you're talking about, I guess, I won't say Dom, but 3 workers in that group that could put on a match with anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I mean, look, Damian Priest wrestled a Puerto Rican rapper and put on a match of a lifetime. I thought that stole the show 100% at Backlash. That was the best match of the night.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how was it not? So you're talking about all these guys. Rhea, great match every time she goes out. Right? The match against Zelina in Backlash, amazing. I mean, every time she goes out, it's a killer. So those guys are putting on a show everywhere they go.
I just don't. The only thing I don't like about them is the name. I think the Judgment Day is such a clunky name. Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a pay-per-view called Judgment Day?
Right, and it wasn't called the Judgment Day pay-per-view event on television.
That's a home run. They got to bring that back. That's money right there.
But that's why they started the group's name was because Edge was on that. There was a poster for Judgment Day where Edge was like pushing the nuclear button or something, like start war. There was like a reason he chose Judgment Day, and then they got rid of him. But yeah, that whole group. The comparison to China is so accurate because they have the same kind of faith in her that they in Rhea that they didn't in China, because you don't let somebody who can't do a move because then somebody could get hurt. You don't let a female wrestler pick up a guy that's probably 100 pounds more than her unless you know for damn sure she can do it.
Like when she slammed Gallows on the floor.
Like Katana Chance isn't out there body, pressing, gorilla pressing guys. You know what I mean? It's not the smaller of the groups. It's Rhea Ripley who can actually do it, and it looks impressive when she does.
Well, so I want to point this out too. By the way, Hassan Terrell from YouTube. Hi there, guys. What's up, man? Thank you for checking us out and tuning in.
Hassan Terrell, what's up?
Yep, that's the
Ryan
new
found
cover.
it. It was a poster for Judgment Day where there's the scales of justice and Edge is tipping the scale. I was
That's
thinking
what
of
it
Chris Jericho pressing the button on the nuclear thing, I think, for one of them.
But here's one thing that it also is. It looked like even from yesterday they are starting to tease an issue between Baylor and Damian Priest, who, by the
Yep,
way,
I've
put on
seen
a hell of a match in the main event on Raw.
100%.
Great match, but I got to tell you, the match of the night, without question, Kevin Owens Gunther.
Oh,
Unbelievable match. What a hard-hitting slobber knocker, if you will. I mean,
Absolutely.
from the minute the bell rang, from backstage, I just love what they're doing with Owens being just like the hothead and going from like 0 to 80 in like 3 seconds and flipping out and just ready to fight. And then to have Gunther involved, what a match! And I love everything about Imperium. I say it week after week. Their money, everything about it is great, and I would be okay with Imperium beating Owens and Sammy. To be honest with you, as much as I'm enjoying them as tag team champions, I would love Imperium to have the gold.
Now, would you do it at Money in the Bank, or would you wait till SummerSlam? Because
something like that, I think you wait until SummerSlam.
Because let's be honest, Kevin and Sammy were not, even in this storyline, which was amazing, were not meant to have a long reign with these belts. Or am I right?
Well, yeah, I don't really know. I don't think so.
So I think a solid run from Mania till SummerSlam is perfect for them.
And that opens up so many opportunities for Gunther and Imperium, to have all the belts and do similar things, which I think could lead eventually to Gunther and Roman Reigns, coming to a head, right?
For all we know, Gunther could be the one to take.
That's
Roman.
so funny that you say that, because last week I said I would love to see Gunther be the one to take Roman down. I think that match would be unbelievable.
I mean, he's already on his way, and we know at this point we could say for a fact that he's beating the Honky Tonk Man's record at some point.
I think so. Well, actually, do we want to pull the earlier? Let me scroll up. Our buddy,
pull up the honkometer.
Well, do you know how much? I was going to say this last week. Do you know how much funny I think it would be if the guy, whichever one that does the announcing for Gunther, goes, "Bring up the Guntometer."
That would be.
He's going to sound like Groot from the Minions.
Yes. So how about this one? So David, our friend David from Canada, Gunther will surpass Pedro Morales. Was Pedro Morales 619 days, and then what? The Honky Tonk Man was after him, or did Pedro Morales have a longer reign than Honky Tonk Man?
No, Honky Tonk Man.
Okay.
Honky Tonk is 454 days.
619 was Pedro Morales' WWE World Title reign. I think, because Pedro Morales was under 1,000 days. He still had a long reign, but he was under 1,000. There's only Roman, Hulk, Bruno twice, and Backlund has 1,000 days. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think first to get to the 619 days that Pedro Morales held the WWE title, Gunther would have to get past Honky Tonk's 400 and something days, which I mean, how close we got to be on the cusp of that. So I have no problem with Gunther holding records, especially because he's going out there and like definitively, and I know there was some,
and we were saying the last time the IC title felt this important was when like Miz and Ziggler were having that, off.
Yeah, and by contrast, I could not give one single shit about the U.S. title. So
yeah, and
there we go.
That is a title that hasn't been relevant since Cena had it, I think.
Yeah, he had those open challenges and stuff. And there was around that point, it was him, it was Rollins, because Rollins like broke his nose, and Jon Stewart from The Daily Show got involved and stuff. Like, it was really very strange time.
That heel turn by Stewart was awesome.
When it comes to Gunther, I would be okay him kind of doing a Roman and surpassing 1,000 days, quite honestly.
Yeah,
it would bring legitimacy to him, his reign, and of course, like his overall just character in the company, for sure.
David's sticking with his prediction here in the comments.
Well, Ryan just sent something to the chat that he says the Honky Tonk Man had it for 453 days and is the longest reigning IC champion of
Gotcha.
all time.
Gotcha.
He surpassed Ricky Steamboat for the title in an upset in 87 when Steamboat's original opponent, Butch Reed, no-showed the event.
Right. Yeah, and that
then
was
he said Pedro Morales was number 2 with 424 days.
And then I bet you Pedro has a 619 world title reign as well. I think that might be what David's talking about, because these guys, back in the day when we're talking about, this is why it's so impressive for somebody like Gunther or Roman Reigns to hold a title for so long in the modern era. When you look at title reigns, some of them are, Kane had it for 24 hours and then got it stripped. Finn Balor had it for 24 hours. We had vacant as world champion more time than not in the last couple of years, it feels like. But these back in the day, they held those titles for years at a time because, Kalamazoo, Michigan only got 1 or 2 shows a year, and they were excited to see the champion. And if they wanted to see Bob Backlund or they wanted to see, Bruno or
Hulk
Pedro
Hogan.
or whoever it was, Hulk Hogan, they're like, all right, we're going to keep these guys on and we're just going to run this loop again next year, and they'll be just as excited. And then when they're not as excited, that's when you change the title. So it took 3 years for them to get sick of Hulk Hogan. And then he was like, all right, we'll drop the title. Then he's fresh again. Then he wins the title back and he holds it for, a lot of stuff, you can do in that era because it's all house show. Very, very little of it's on TV. There's a couple pay-per-views. There's a couple, your Saturday night's main events and whatever, but then most of the business is house shows. And that's the big difference between now and then. Everything back then was the main money maker was house shows, and TV was seen as a way to promote the house show business, not the other way around. So now it's completely flipped where the big money is the TV and the touring stuff is kind of an aside.
Can I bring up one thing? And this is going to totally change gears here.
Sure.
Is anybody feeling that this Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus storyline is just falling flat? Has it captivated anyone?
All right, I'm glad you brought this up because we kind of touched on it last week because I think we all have been pretty complimentary of Trish since her return, but last week's promo sucked and the whole thing seemed to go flat, and the bringing in of Zoe Stark.
I think that's kind of what really started it. It was an interesting program between Becky and Trish, and Becky had that thing and mentioned her bark like a dog, calling her
I don't know what it is about Zoe Stark, but I can't stand her. I just, there's nothing about her that gets me excited at all. And to put her with Trish made no fucking sense. There's so many other people you could have,
It's the old, old thing that they do, right? You bring in the veteran,
right,
and then you have a rookie aside of them, and it's to build them up. And
rookie.
and I was just about to say something similar, Eric. I really think that they should have chosen somebody else to do that with. Maybe someone that is almost reminiscent of a Trish Stratus, not somebody who has built their own. I mean, Zoe Stark isn't a Trish Stratus-esque type of person, right? It's not that model-esque look.
She's more manly.
I think there's that one girl who was an MMA fighter down in NXT, Spanish girl. I think she just started wrestling, but I mean, build this storyline. Yeah, I don't know her name, and I'm not even gonna look it up, but she's hot. She's smoking hot. I mean, bring a girl like that and build them up, right? I don't know. You could have done any number of things with Zoe Stark. Some an angle with Bailey, right? Something like that could have been good. Something like the OC Mia Yim, right? Coming to be the counter to that.
It bothers me that you just bring this bitch up. You put her with somebody like Trish Stratus, and now she has an opportunity to win Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're throwing people
I don't
right in.
get it. I don't get it. It bothers me.
Yeah, what were you saying, Eric?
Well, they just take, because they keep hinting at Io Sky maybe getting away from
damage control,
and then Zoe Stark would fit better in that as opposed to this whole thing with Becky.
Yeah.
I will say this though,
a better fit.
I will say this though, Eric, you got your wish because we got another segment with Io and Asuka where they were screaming at each other in Japanese, and it was
In
fucking
Japanese.
great. It was great.
It's fantastic.
I hate it, but I also think it's pretty funny.
It's hilarious. I mean, how do you hate that? That's fucking great. We couldn't wait. We were like, we need more of it, and then we got it, and it was so
For sure.
entertaining. Because you're sitting there and like you have no idea what they're saying, and you don't even give a shit. You're just like, this is entertaining.
Yeah.
You know,
Who was out
and
there
then
with
and
them?
then Asuka just starts drooling the blue, and like it's just fucking great.
Who was out there with them? Who was narrating that set? Was that the guy Grayson Waller?
Yeah.
Was that doing
Well,
his thing?
no, Grayson Waller was the whole Money in the Bank
See,
thing.
am I the only one that doesn't get this guy, the appeal of this guy at all?
What, Grayson?
Yeah, he does nothing for me.
I can do with him or without him. I don't feel any which way about him because I haven't really seen him wrestle yet.
I don't even know what the guy looks like.
You didn't
He
watch
looks
the
like
segment?
Zach Morris.
He does look like
okay.
Zach Morris. That's
He's the Australian Zach Morris.
Yeah.
but and then I do want to
that
give
guy.
I do want to give some flowers, by the way.
Ooh.
To who?
Katana Chance and Kaden Carter looked phenomenal in their debut on Raw last night against Ronda and Baszler.
I did see that.
And I will say this too. This is the one time I've been most impressed with with Ronda and Baszler as a tag team.
Yeah,
they looked good
one
together.
Of Ronda's best matches in a long time.
Yeah, they look good together. But those two in their debut on Raw to go against those two girls, that match was fantastic. They do some crazy different shit, and I like the energy.
They had some bangers in NXT. They really did.
Yeah, no, they impressed me. I give them a lot of credit, but it's funny. Somebody like Zoe fucking Starks will win her debut match, but these girls had to lose. Like,
She's also Kaden Carter is Puerto Rican, just like me and Vince, by the way. So I like.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Katana Chance. I was very confused. I was like,
no, the other girl.
Her name is
Kaden Carter.
Casey or whatever.
Yeah, I remember when she was dating Ricochet.
Yeah, I remember that too. But yeah, so I mean, I thought Raw was actually pretty good. I thought it was a good Raw. The matches were good. Like there were some really good matches on the show, so I can't really complain. But that match with Gunther and Kevin Owens, to me, that's still the whole
Well,
show.
yeah, default. I mean, you know, Gunther's going in there. He almost is guaranteed to give match of the night, and then Kevin Owens being another guy like that.
Yeah, and it was some hard hitting, man. It was great.
Let me ask a question about the tag team championships, right? Because you still have technically two sets, but they're together, undisputed, whatever. Do they keep them together or do they split them? Like
I have a feeling they're coming out with all new belts. To be honest with you, I think you're getting all new upgraded belts. Maybe you'll have now an undisputed tag team championship.
It's
consolidated,
funny, though,
right?
you brought up, the word undisputed because Roman, okay, he's undisputed champion, but isn't it disputed because Seth has a different
There's another world
now?
title. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it makes no fucking sense, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense, like the draft.
Oh God, the draft.
Yeah, it still doesn't make sense.
How are people?
1 week.
Yeah, how are they fighting on every show every week, and there's supposed to be a draft? I mean, if you create a belt, a tag team belt, you already have them. Just put one back, put the red one back on the red brand, put the blue one back on the blue brand. It's simple as that.
My biggest issue, besides the fact that they're not sticking to the draft, so it just makes it fucking pointless. Like, you want us to buy into it, you do a whole thing, and it means dick. But I will tell you, what bothers me even more is this women's title situation.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been drafted to other shows.
You've got the Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown, and you've got the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw.
But that's why I'm wondering, since you said they might come out with all new belts, do you think that they have women's redesigns in the works and they're just trying to figure out a way?
I'm sure. I mean, listen, from a marketing standpoint, why not? They're going to sell more belts.
Or what are we going to do here? Because the last time they did this, they had a backstage, I hand you my belt, you hand me your belt kind of weird.
I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have done it already.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think they're going to do that now, which leads me to believe that maybe one day, without any kind of pomp or circumstance or whatever, Triple H will just be out there with a podium. This is the new women's title, you know?
Well, it just goes to show, like, what they did for Roman recently on SmackDown with this new belt. And we still don't know if it's just going to be that, or if it's going to be 3 of them, which is kind of like the sight of that is pretty cool. But realistically, this belt that Roman has, the new one, it should have been done the moment he beat Brock at last year's WrestleMania.
I agree. I agree. Although waiting made it kind of cool because you got a whole year of 2 belts.
Right.
So
right,
you
and
can go either way.
visually, it's fucking awesome.
2 is better
why
than
we're
1.
sitting here saying like we would even be okay with him still coming out now with all 3, because visually it's just going to look great.
Yep. It's better than 1, 2. It's better than 2, 3. I like
mean,
it.
You talk about God mode.
Yeah.
You don't get more God mode than that.
And let's not forget. Let's not forget, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Eric, but let's not forget, a few weeks ago, during the tournament for this new belt, Roman Reigns, I guess if you want to say teased it, walked up the ramp, turned his full attention to that new gold belt, and it was as if he was saying, I'm coming for that shit too.
Yeah.
So,
but how does that work?
I mean,
he's on the other brand.
So is every other wrestler fighting on the other brand? I mean, what does it matter at this point?
I mean, you had AJ Styles not only come over just to give flowers to Seth Rollins, but then be in the main event and his partner on the other brand like the next week.
Yeah.
What if I just came up with a really great idea that I think is great, and I'm gonna give heck. I need your opinion because you're not here a lot, so I need you up or down on this. We're gonna have a series of matches called Island of Relevancy matches, and they're gonna be pre-taped matches. Roman Reigns is gonna be sitting on an island, almost like the plane, Fantasy Island. Like he's sitting there.
He's gonna be tattooed.
He's sitting in a lawn chair. No, he's the guy, and then Paul Heyman's tattoo. So Roman's sitting there drinking a drink out of a coconut, and all of a sudden they see one of those little propeller planes come in, and Paul Heyman's like, "Your opponent's here," and like then all of a sudden you have a match on the beach, like the ring is on the beach or something. You know what I mean? And then they have to. Roman is taking time off. He's on a vacation. If you want to fight me, you have to fly to my island.
That would be awesome.
Fly to his island and fight him.
That would be awesome.
I'd watch that show.
I like it. I would watch that.
It gets him. He can still defend the title. Like you could put it up on Peacock, or you could play whatever. You know what I mean? You could put it up on YouTube. Like, oh my God, Dolph Ziggler just chartered a plane. He has pictures with him and plane tickets on Twitter. And the next thing you know, you show this match.
I mean, it's going to be like Luger getting off the helicopter to slam Yoko.
I think it would be
that big.
But it could also save, because they don't want Roman wrestling all these matches. He could just do some pre-tape stuff. But
that's what I think. That's why Seth is the one that got the other belt, because he's going to be the one that has.
He's going to be grinding and
being the everyday champion.
Based on the fact that match with Damian Priest last night alone, it reminds me of Bret Hart's first run, where he had like banger matches with like the 1, 2, 3 Kid and shit like that for the world title,
Yeah, and it's it's an opportunity for not just Seth, but for guys like Damian Priest, who
and heck, that thing you were just saying about 3, 2's better than 1, 3's better than 2. As kids, right? What do we all think of, and especially because we're male, what do we all think of when you think of the movie Total Recall?
Oh,
3 tits.
I was just gonna say it has to be the lady with the 3 tits.
Exactly.
And on that
Good
note,
one, Eric.
ladies and gentlemen,
I like your mind, Eric.
Oh my
3
God.
tits and we're done.
And on that note,
good stuff.
Yeah,
we'll wrap up. I want to thank everybody for popping in tonight. I don't know who Facebook user was that was suggesting the tag match with the Usos, Solo and Roman, and the SummerSlam stipulation. But thank you for dropping in, Tara. Thank you. I want to. Tara's got some definite insight here. She wished she spoke Japanese for that segment between Asuka and Io Sky. Yep, makes perfect sense. Me too. She does not get Grayson Waller either. And the last comment, they should just do away with the brand split because it literally doesn't make sense anymore. Think about it. It started because of the two GMs didn't get along. Yeah, it was Flair and it was Vince, and they split the thing. Now there's Adam Pearce is the GM of every brand, and it doesn't make any sense to have a brand split. So, yeah, Tara's right. Thank you for dropping in. David Roska from Canada. Gunther is not a cheater. Thank you for that. He also believes Damian Priest should have beaten Seth Rollins last night. That might be a controversial one. And, of course, our Nadia Comaneci update for the week. Trish Stratus started being the next Nadia Comaneci on November 18th, 2001 and finished September 17th, 2006. That's her retirement date on that Raw. Fit Finley is the Bella Caroli making Trish Stratus. Wow, I like this guy a lot. And then last time we saw 5 back-to-back gold medals, Romania, Bucharest. Yeah, well, that was Nadia Comaneci, but there's only one guy in charge, Terry. You're right. Yeah, so we got our weekly Nadia Comaneci update. Let me know when she makes her return to Olympic gymnastics or WWE. She might be dead. I don't think she's dead though. I think she's very old. Because that was the 80s, and I was born in the 80s, and now I'm old, so she's old. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. We got a whole bunch of comments. Oh, and Haseen Terrell, thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Both David and Haseen seem to be doing their comments on YouTube, which is awesome. Tara's up on Facebook. A couple people are on Facebook. And guess what? That's because we stream all over the internet at a bunch of places. Oh, good. Nadia Comaneci is alive. Thank you, Tara. We live stream on Facebook. We live stream on YouTube. We live stream on Twitter and Twitch. We also live stream on Steve's LinkedIn. Most of our accounts on social media are at TagMeADate. The only one that's and TagMeADate is good for Twitter. That's good for Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And God, just a YouTube, just about everything. The only different one is Twitch, twitch.tv/war report. If you go to YouTube and go to the Tag Me a Date YouTube, you can hit subscribe and hit the bell. If you go to twitch.tv/war report, you can add us as a favorite, add us as a friend, as a follower. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can add us on there as well. And you can follow us all over social media. Like I said, mostly at Tag Me a Date. And then Twitch is twitch.tv/war report. To be updated on when we upload new videos or when we go live. We do go live Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on Eastern time. Usually tonight we were on 9 to 10. We will let you know, like we did last week. We gave you an advance notice that tonight's show is going to be at from 9 to 10. If that's ever the case again, we'll let you know the week before. And right now, as of me speaking, we are still good for next Tuesday, 6 p.m. back to our regular time. Correct, Steve?
Yes, sir.
All right. Awesome. So please follow us on social media. Subscribe to the podcast apps. If you have Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and you prefer the audio version of the podcast rather than this live stream, go ahead, go to your favorite app. Search for either The War Report or Tag Me a Date. You'll see us on there. There are 2 wrestling podcasts called The War Report. Just look for the one that has the icon and the description that mentions Tag Me a Date, Steve, Vince, Eric, etc. We wrote it specifically so you would know it was us. You can subscribe, and then the audio version will get dropped into your app within the hour of us going off the air. And other than that, just please spread the word. Tell your friends. We've had a lot of comments from some new people. Haseen came in today. We had Tara and David keeping the chat going healthy this week as well. So if anybody wants to drop in next week, please do. Your questions and comments definitely fuel our conversation. And if you're enjoying this podcast and you're a wrestling fan and you've got other friends that are wrestling fans, share the link. I mean, we're, we've been doing this 6-7 years now. We're all just lifelong wrestling fans that love talking about it and getting other people's opinions on it. So we'd love to have more listeners and more people in the chat. If, you want to spread the word, it's as easy as hitting that share button on social media. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in on a late show. Usually not, even when we go late between 7 and 7:20 or something, we never go as late as 10 o'clock. So thank you guys for sticking with us. It was a fun late show, but we're going to be back at it 6 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday for another edition of the War Report. Hector, don't be a stranger, buddy. Thank you for coming. Big Heck.
Good to see you.
Late show. Yeah, absolutely. Eric, thank you. Steven, thank you. And we're going to see you guys next week.